We just got the first state of play of the year, and it was fine. When it comes to PlayStation showcases, I honestly think there's just a rhythm they have not been able to find for a lot of these, and this is another one where there are some good announcements. I'm not going to just be like, oh, this was so bad. Like, there was a lot of good stuff in there, but there was a density of just packing in 30 games nonstop, which normally is something I'm very excited about because I love seeing just back-to-back announcements and having a lot of stuff to soak in and a wide variety of games. But something about the rhythm of it and just what the lineup of games are just ends up leaving me walking away just a little bit more mixed feeling about it. And actually, for this one in particular, looking at what we know for the year ahead for PlayStation, I think leaves some pretty big gaps still for things that people were hoping to learn more about. I want to start by going over some of the announcements, though, that I do think were some of the bigger, stronger ones, or at least the ones that really stood out to me. There were a couple games we can skip over real quick just because I feel like we already have a pretty good idea of what's going on with those. We got another look at Monster Hunter Wilds with some more monster reveals. We got another look at Metal Gear Solid Delta. There were some other games, though, that we've, seen the name of before, or maybe got a light teaser of before, that finally got some more gameplay that are looking really nice. In fact, one of the first ones that stood out to me there was Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Now, admittedly, I'm not the biggest Sonic head, but I've had some fun with some of the mainline entries, but I've also really appreciated Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed because that was a great kart-style game that featured not only Sonic characters, but characters from across all other kinds of Sega IPs. And based on what we're hearing and seeing from Crossworlds, it's going to be a spiritual successor to that style. Now, you wouldn't fully know that looking at the gameplay we saw in today's trailer. That one entirely showed traditional Sonic characters, but did show a lot of racing mechanics more similar to Transformed. However, in a blog post following the state of play, they did use the wording that it features characters from Sonic and other Sega universes, which is extremely exciting to me. There's a lot of great franchises that Sega can tap into that I love, and I think would make great cameos in a kart racer like this. Another one that stood out to me was Lost Soul Aside, primarily because this is a game that we first learned about, I want to say like 8 years ago. It was originally a project being done by a single developer, and the project has since expanded since then, and it's looking to be a very beautiful looking action RPG. The original first teaser we got, the game did seem to have a little bit more in common inspiration with something like Final Fantasy 15. It seems like it has changed and developed more since that time, and I'm very curious to get my hands on it, but it is something that anyone who was hyped from that initial trailer has been waiting quite a long time for updates on, and it's finally releasing this year on May 30th. We also got an updated look at gameplay for Borderlands 4, which I admit I'm a little on the fence about. I really enjoyed the original run of Borderlands games as well as Wonderlands. There's just something about, I don't know if it's the passage of time since the last time I really dove into one, or just how the trailers have been done. I'm not feeling this one just yet, but they did announce that it is going to be getting a dedicated state of play this coming spring with a release date happening in September. So maybe once we actually see a lot more of the core breakdown of the gameplay, I'm gonna start feeling that hype because it's just not quite there for me yet. Along with updates on Monster Hunter, Capcom also had some more news to show for Onimusha. They once again re-announced that we're getting a remaster of Onimusha 2, which is exciting, but even more so, we finally got to get a bit more extensive look at what Onimusha Way of the Sword is shaping up to be like. They've now confirmed the main character of this game is going to be Musashi Miyamoto, who is a historical figure and a character used in a lot of different major fiction. In fact, there is already a version of him in the Onimusha anime, so I'm very curious to see if there's going to be any kind of tie-in there, or if it is going to be just its own entire arc separated from that. Point is, it looks absolutely fantastic, and this was really one of the biggest highlights for me at this show. Some other ones I just want to touch on real quick. Midnight Walk is something that we saw a little bit of in the past, and is continuing to look very beautiful and kind of creepy at the same time in a way I absolutely love. Directive 8020 is the next game coming from Supermassive Games, which we already knew was going to be a sci-fi horror title, but it looks like it's taking some influence from The Thing and other horror stories of that sort. We got the announcement of DLC for Lies of P called Overture. This does require base game. It is not a standalone separate title. We also got another update on Stellar Blade that is adding some new costumes and other little bits of new content, primarily as part of a crossover event with Shift Up's other game, their mobile title Nikke. Also, while not a new game announcement, we did get updates for Like a Dragon, where Pirate Yakuza is going to be getting a demo, and we are getting a crossover with Dave the Diver featuring Ichiban and other characters from Infinite Wealth. There was also Blueprints, which I think we've seen a little bit of in the past. This is a more indie-style title that's also going to be launching as part of the PlayStation Plus catalog, and that is something that the more puzzle-oriented side of my brain is very intrigued by and looks very interesting. And then Hazelight's next game, Split Fiction, continues to look really good. Can't wait to get my hands on that. Along with these updates, though, we also got some brand new reveals as part of the show, and there's a handful of them that really stood out to me in particular. The first of which was one of the first big reveals of the show, a new 2D Shinobi game, which, by the way, what is going on where this is just the year of the ninja? We have a new 2D Ninja Gaiden coming out this year, a brand new mainline Ninja Gaiden title coming out later this year, and now a new 2D Shinobi that's being developed by the same team that made Streets of Rage 4, Lizard Cube, which you can really see the art style similarities here, and the game just looks absolutely fantastic. As someone who very much loved Streets of Rage 4, I'm very excited to see them tackle a Shinobi title. We also got the reveal of a new Digimon game with Digimon Story Time Stranger. We got a shadow drop reveal of Dynasty Warriors Abyss. I think it's actually just called Warriors Abyss, which is an isometric roguelite mashed up with Dynasty Warriors. We just build up this army of fighters to take on waves of enemies. This is just fully released. Shadows drop news is always exciting, and again, Koei Tecmo is just releasing a ton of stuff this year. And then, well, there are a whole lot of other games that were announced and revealed and we got updates on. The only other one that I feel like really giving a little bit extra attention to that stood out to me was Tides of Annihilation. This is one of those titles where just seeing the general visual style and some of the bits of gameplay looks very enticing to me. I think this is something that could be really special, or it could end up not delivering an execution. It's one where I don't know if I should be like completely hyped just yet, but it has my curiosity. Now, most of these announcements, as you'll noticed, are third-party. A ton of this stuff was either from smaller studios or from third-party devs revealing stuff. And as far as first-party PlayStation goes, there are really only two big things that we got. One, we are getting Days Gone Remastered, which is following the same logic we've seen from a lot of other PS4 remasters where, you know, it's not just a visual update, we are getting some new content and play mode styles as well. And most importantly, if you already own the game in some form physically or digitally, you can purchase an upgrade version where you just spend $10 to get that new content. You don't have to buy the game full price all over again, which is always a nice little bonus. And then the final big announcement was a new game from Housemarque called Saros. We did not get to see any actual gameplay for this. It was basically just an initial hype teaser trailer, but based on what they were saying as part of the state of play, this is going to be a game that follows in the same kind of vein as Returnal, which was a fantastic release back in 2021. And if you're a big fan of that game, while this is a brand new game, it is sounding like this is going to be a spiritual successor to it, following up the same style of gameplay. Now, it's worth noting that while we didn't get any gameplay for this one just yet, it was announced as being a 2026 title, so it's not coming out this year, and we were promised that we would see a gameplay reveal sometime later this year. Now, again, there was a whole lot more that was revealed or updated on the show. I didn't want to take my time going through every single one, but I think those were some of the bigger highlight reveals along with some personal favorite picks. I think the problem that I feel walking away from the state of play is that it doesn't give me the clearest pictures yet of what PlayStation's plans are for the next year. You know, we got two first-party announcements from them this time around, one of which is a remaster, the other one of which we didn't see actual gameplay for, and it's going to be for next year. And as I said in an earlier video this year where I was kind of taking a look at what was happening for all the different major companies, PlayStation is one that is a bit of a question mark right now. There are some big games we know about that we can get excited for. Ghost of Yotei, we're likely going to be seeing Death Stranding 2 this year, and there are those third-party games that, while not first-party, are at least going to be timed exclusives. And so it's inaccurate to say that PlayStation doesn't have anything big going on this year. There are some titles to look forward to, but I feel like we don't have the clearest idea still for when those games are releasing, if there's going to be anything else to help supplement that, and just what the roadmap ahead for PlayStation is. And again, there were so many third-party games that played a part of the state of play, and so many big third-party games coming out this year that we know are going to make their way to PlayStation that will probably be primarily PlayStation games as far as some people are concerned. You know, there is stuff to look forward to, but it's just the first-party track record for PlayStation lately has just been a little spottier than I think some people would like. We've had some fantastic wins, there have been some great games to play, but the release consistency has not really been up there the last couple years, and there has been a lot of time and resources dedicated to live service stuff that a lot of which sounds like it's going to end up actually just being canceled instead of ever fully releasing. It's only February, so there's definitely time left in the year where, especially during, say, a summer showcase, we could end up getting a lot more big announcements and reveals and locked-in dates for some games that people have been waiting on. But there are just so many titles that I think either PlayStation has talked about in the past that we haven't got updates on in a while. Things like Wolverine, for instance, where it would just be really nice to know if those are also coming this year, just helping to fill out that release schedule and make it a stronger lineup. Because we've gotten a lot of hardware from PlayStation last year. I mean, we got PS5 Pro at the end of last year and a whole lot of other stuff the past year before that. But this year, because they've caught up on so much of that, it feels like now is the time for software to really start releasing and giving you something to, you know, take advantage of on all that hardware. And the lineup just doesn't feel like it's there just yet. Again, it's still early in the year and there's plenty of stuff that can get confirmed for the back half of the year to really fill the catalog out a lot more. I just think there's been enough question marks for a little while now of what the PlayStation release schedule is going to look like that, you know, at an event like a State of Play, people were hoping to see more of that locked in, and instead we got a remaster of a PS4 game and one new reveal that is exciting, but it's just a little farther out and didn't have any gameplay to show just yet. This was not the worst State of Play by any means. I think there are plenty of other ones that rank in quite a bit lower, but I don't think it was really one of the stronger ones either. It was, again, a very dense one, lots of games to look over and talk about, and I think one of the exciting things about it is because there were so many games, there's bound to be a few that appeal to someone out there. I just don't know if it's necessarily giving the right strong facing of what PlayStation themselves, first party wise, are going to be doing moving ahead. So those are just some thoughts on the State of Play. I am planning some more PlayStation content very soon. In particular, I want to revisit the PS5 Pro now that it's been out for a while and some more games have released modes for it, and just give an updated look on I think where that stands and how worth it is to upgrade to, if at all. If you don't want to miss out on that video, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button to let me know, and I will see you all later.